I want to first start off by giving Kalista Walker a thank you and great appreciation for giving me this opportunity to come back to my old elementary to read my book, The Best School Year Ever, written by me, Charles Hall, illustrated by Willie C. Gordon III. I'm just extremely excited to be here and to do this for our community reads. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm just blessed, and I appreciate it so much. I started off, I went to Erickson Elementary, and this is what made me part of my upcoming, made me the man, some of the boy that I became. I loved it here. My favorite teacher taught here. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned something that really, as an adult, I had to deal with and go back to my past and fix. I started off, I was a bully, and I did not know it. And I'm sorry, and I apologize again to any and everybody if I ever did anything to you. I'm just a funny guy, and I always crack jokes, and that was my way of getting through the school day and getting into just having fun and making school fun. But in knowing that everybody's not excited about or to want to be the butt of your jokes. So that kind of inspired me to write this book, and I was really inspired by some children. I was working at Logan Elementary with Miss Amanda Woods, who I was in her class, and she used to I worked with special needs kids, and she used to allow me to go to a general class to do writing and math with my student in Mrs. Natasha Stewart's class. And in that class, we were given an assignment the kids were given an assignment to write a story. And I always go in there and I'll try to help out as much as I could. And I was sitting at the table with a few kids. Itzy Caldwell and Carter Ward really inspired this book. So I want to thank them too. They challenged me, and I'm an Ypsilanti Brave. I went to East, I went to Erickson, then MC High, and I played with the Braves, and I coach with the Braves now. And as a Brave, when you challenge, we're always taught to step up. So they challenged me to write a story. As I'm sitting there, they challenged me to write a story. I started to write, and when I started to write, it just poured out, and I couldn't stop writing until I finished the story. And it's a great book, great illustration, great message. Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Charles Hall. I am alumni of Erickson Elementary. I'm excited to be here, excited to read books to our community reads, to our children. Thank you, and I welcome you, and thank you for welcoming me. I, in school, did not like English was my worst subject. Writing and English were my worst two subjects. And I used to act out when it was time for those subjects and really shy away and really go into a shell because I was nervous and I was scared because I wasn't a good reader or a good writer. And I'm here now today admitting that and telling you, kids, if you have a problem with that, talk to somebody that you're comfortable with where you can get the help that you need because it's okay. Everybody's not the best reader, not the best writer. But I'm here to tell you it's okay. I'm here to show you that now I'm not nervous, I'm not scared, and I'm here to read books to you so you can see that you too can do it too. Thank you. I'm so excited to present my book to you, The Best School Year Ever. Before I read it, I want to ask you kids a question. I always like to ask a question before I start reading my book to kids. What do you think this book is about? So take a moment and write down one or two answers of what do you think this book is about. When you're doing, I'm asking you that question because as a writer, it's very important for you not to give the message of your book out in your title or with your illustration on the front. So always remember that. You want people to be intrigued about what you wrote about, but not give them the message of what the book is about. So please take a moment and just write down what do you think the best school year ever is about. Now I'm ready to present it and read it to you. By Charles Hall, myself, illustrated by Willie C. Gordon. And it starts off here. It was 2 days before the first day of school, and all I could think about was who my teacher was going to be, and if my best friend Sarah would be in my class. One thing for certain, I hoped that I wouldn't have to spend another year looking at Vicky Cooper's freckled face again. We're in 5th grade now, and she had been in my class every year since kindergarten. Every year, I was her favorite person to tease and perform her practical jokes on. You name it, she did it to me. Pull my chair from underneath me, trip me, gum in my hair, even hide my lunchbox. So you can only imagine the tension I felt when I walked up to the wall where the principal placed the class list. I was near the middle of the line, but I could see my best friend Sarah at the front of the line, and Vicky Cooper not too far behind her. "I got Mr. Hall," Sarah shouted in her happiest voice. Then all of a sudden, her joy went to sadness. She turned and walked towards me and said, "Lisa, you got Mr. Hall too." "That's great," I shouted. "So does Vicky Cooper." My smile instantly went upside down. Really? Yes, Lisa, really. But at least it's both of us. We can stick together and not let her win this year. Here's a picture of them standing at the wall, and she's excited. Mr. Hall is great. He won't let her get away with her old tricks. Hey, buttheads, said Vicky as she's walking towards us. You guys better be ready. I've been Google searching new material, and I can't wait to try them on you guys. As we entered Mr. Hall's class, on the board it said, find your name on the desk, get seated, and wait for further instructions. As I scanned the desk, I noticed that he put Vicky Cooper in the same row right behind me, the worst possible spot ever. As I turned around in my seat to look back, she already was rubbing her hands together, smiling at me. I raised my hand and asked, are these seats permanent? Well, I don't know, but I would like for you to give it a chance before we go moving seats around on the first day. Is there something wrong with your seat? No, I guess it's okay. You sure? As I turned to look at Vicky, she was giving me that you bet not get me in trouble face. Yeah, I'm okay. Sarah's face said it all. What are you doing? And here's her sitting where she's raising her hand, Mr. Hall there. The first week was hard. With trying to keep up with all the work of 5th grade and watching Vicky Cooper's every move, I was exhausted. On Saturday, Sarah came over to play and had some best friend time. But all we could think about was when Vicky was going to strike and what trick she would do first. That's when my older brother walked in and gave the best advice I heard in years. What are you doing, Pickle Breath? As he opened my bedroom door. Get out, stupid! I screamed as he stood in the doorway. This is a free country, and I can stand wherever I want, butthead, he yelled back. Mom, Sean's bothering us. Sean, leave your sister and Sarah alone, Mom yelled from the kitchen as she continued chopping vegetables for dinner. He stood there as if he didn't hear at all. What are you guys doing in here? Well, you must know, jerk. I'm trying to prepare for Vicky Cooper's tricks before she attacks next week. She's still making you the butt of her jokes? Sean said as he laughed as hard as he could. Yes, dweeb, I said with fire in my eyes. Why don't you guys come up with a trick of your own before she gets you first? It was like a light bulb had went off in my head as Sean said that. Sean, you're the best big brother ever. I shouted and I gave him the biggest hug. Get off, Sasquatch, Sean screamed. So, for the rest of the day, Sarah and I were trying to come up with the best trick ever. Finally, after hours and hours of ideas, it finally clicked. Sarah and I were so excited as we walked into the class together with the biggest smirks on our face. However, that smirk would soon turn into a frown as Vicky struck first. She put a rope across the doorway by our feet. Bam, boom, plow! We both went tumbling across the room with our backpacks laying on the top of our heads. The whole class laughed so loud that Mrs. Richardson ran over to see what happened. Is everyone okay? She asked in a panicked voice. Is everything okay? Mr. Hall asked as he ran from behind the desk, having the biggest look of concern on his face. Everything's fine, everything's fine, we both said as we quickly rushed to our feet, trying to act like nothing had happened. Settle down, class, Mr. Hall said as he was trying to restore order to the class. As I walked to my seat, I was furious as a bear that haven't eaten in years. I wanted revenge now. The plan we came up with over the weekend wasn't good enough. Now I want her to suffer the worst embarrassment of her life. As I'm sitting there embarrassed, angry, and prideless, I came up with something that would make her feel the same as me. Can I use the restroom, please? I asked in the most adorable old lady voice. Sure, said Mr. Hall. We planned on putting a fake mouse in her desk, but after her shining moment, that wasn't good enough. We kept the lunch boxes in a bin in the hall. So I opened her lunch box and put the mouse in the middle of her favorite banana, peanut butter, and honey sandwich and closed it back. I set her lunchbox back in the bin. As I returned back to class, my classmates were still chuckling at what Vicky had did to Sarah and I earlier. I passed Sarah's desk and I whispered, Operation Takeoff. Operation Revenge is set for takeoff. Sarah looked at me with a weird look on her face, and she was confused about what that meant. As we lined up for lunch, I told Sarah to just wait. Revenge was coming. We sat right across from Vicky at the table. She gave us both a weird look because we never sit anywhere close to her. But today was different. I wanted a front row seat to see this. I hope you guys aren't sitting here hoping for an apology because I'm not sorry, Vicky said with a grin on her face. Oh no, Vicky, I said in a quiet old lady voice. We just want to be friends. Well, tough, she said as she pulled out her sandwich. Ah! She screamed as she bit into her sandwich, biting the fake mouse instead. Instantly feeling disgusted and embarrassed, Vicky got up to run out of the lunchroom, but tripped and fell into the garbage can. She was covered in trash from head to toe. And it was mac and cheese day, too. The whole lunchroom erupted into laughter as Sarah and I stood over her grinning like a kid on Christmas. We didn't see Vicky for the rest of the day. The next day, a miracle happened. Vicky walked into class with her head down, like she had had the worst night of her life. She walked up behind Sarah and I and said, Lisa, I'm so sorry for all the things I've done to you and Sarah over the years. I didn't know how that made you both feel until I was a person everyone was laughing at. Can we please be friends? Sarah and I looked at each other with the most shocking look on our face. I thought I had started a war, but instead she realized that embarrassing others for her amusement wasn't a nice thing to do at all. After that, Sarah, Vicky, and I became besties. Mr. Hall was the best teacher ever, and 5th grade ended up being the best school year ever. The end. And I just wrote a little bit telling about me and my story, as I told you guys earlier. I'll read it to you. I've never been the guy who liked writing anything. English has always been my least favorite subject in school. But if you challenge me, I'm going to step up to the plate and accept the challenge full force. That's what happened here. I've worked in the Arbor school system for over 12 years. I've been a special education teacher assistant for 7 of those years. Miss Wood has always put me in charge of math and journal writing with the kids. Every day, our students would go to inclusion. That means they go to the grade level teacher for classwork. On this particular day, Mr. Stewart's 3rd grade class was working on writing. The assignment was to create a short story about whatever you want. I always try to help all the students at the table complete their assignment and stay on task. As I'm telling the students to do their work and give them the different ideas to write about, a couple of students, Izzy Caldwell and Carter Ward, decided to challenge me to do the assignment with them. That's when it happened. Challenge accepted. So for the next 4 hours, I couldn't stop writing. And I returned to my classroom. I continued to write and write until I completed my first book. I was so excited and proud of myself, I couldn't wait to read my story to the students. The next day, when I went to Miss Stewart's room, I asked her if I could read my story first. She said yes, and I began to read to the class. They loved it. The rest is history, and I discovered another side of me that I never knew existed. I hope this book can change someone's life and make the world a little bit better. Thank you. I'm just so proud of this book and about me just expressing myself, because I was one of those people who always kept these things internally. It was hard for me to talk about. And now that I'm older and more mature, I want to spread the word to kids about anything that you're going through, anything that you struggle with. Find somebody that you think will listen and tell them. You don't want to keep it bottled in. You don't know what it can do to you or how it can affect you. But just try to be the best person you can be. Always think about what you do to others. And if you do something wrong, admit it, apologize, and try to move on and make it right. I mean, I'm not saying I don't do things wrong. I still don't have work to do. But if I ever wronged anybody or did something wrong to you, I'm apologizing to you again here. Just because that's not the person I am. That's not the way my mom raised me, my grandparents raised me. I don't want to be that person. And I don't think it's right for anybody to be that person. So thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to share my dream, my book with you guys. I hope you love it. I hope I come back again and read to the whole school. I want to read it to the world. I want the message around. I hope you thought it was funny. I hope you loved the pictures, the message. That's all. I try to bring it all together. So thank you guys. Thank you, Mrs. K, for bringing me. You don't even know how touching this is to me to do this. So thank you.